If it's me, it's real. It's TBA and Mona Lachey, and welcome to tonight's edition of TBA After Hours. Because I do have a couple of things that are on my mind that have been swirling around here that I wanted to get off my chest for that. And of course, I do have my partner in rhyme, Mona Lachey. Welcome back to the Black Channel, Mona.
Black first, thank you for having me.
I wanted to talk here because there are a couple of things that have been weighing on me here, so I figured this would be the perfect opportunity for me to address that. And of course, Mona is here with me as well because it is a bit of a male-female issue for that. You know, Mona, it's become apparent to me. It's been apparent for a while, but tonight I wanted to talk about that black people as a whole are not ready for prime time. And that was something in particular that I was thinking about here. We are not ready for prime time. We're really not ready to present ourselves to the public. We're really not ready for that. There's a whole lot of that going on, and we're really just not ready. It's just, if it were a business, it would be the most shockingly unprofessional business out there. And that's something that I've been wanting to talk about here. That on a basic level, we are really just not prepared for prime time. It's like calling customer service and Chandelica Laria answers the phone. Hello, you call Comcast, Chandelica Laria speaking. Now you just know your billing issue is not going to get fixed when Chandelica Laria answers the phone. We are not ready for prime time. In an adult world, people are supposed to gravitate to answers and solutions. They are supposed to gravitate to information, not entertainment. And they are supposed to be able to discern and differentiate the difference. We have a bunch of people who are existing, but very few who are actually prepared for the rigors and the responsibilities of adulthood. And it leads to a bunch of crazy stuff being said. And people actually trying to live by it. I mean, it's absolutely insane. And to me, a fully literate, fully capable adult, I can't stand it. So I wanted to take a little time here tonight to put a spotlight on a few things. If I may, and if I might, and since I own this damn thing, I will. I put up a post earlier today where I said that Africans, and I was specifically speaking about African women in Britain, behave differently than African women in America. And I wanted to talk about black women outside of the African continent. Because that is of particular importance. And taking a look at how black women outside of the continent in Africa act in Britain as opposed to America, there's such a sheer contrast there. A lot of the evils and the nonsense and the coonery and buffoonery and mammyism that we witness here in America. You don't have that. And one of the things that I came across was that I was like, but that's because a sizable portion of Britain's black population are actually either first or at most second generation Africans or Caribbeans. They are not working on their fifth and sixth generation of black people like that. That was something that struck me. I was like, they're just directly from the African continent. Over here in America, we are digging our way out from this grave where we've been piled on by 5 and 6 generations of mammyism, where they bow and scrape and hello, Mr. Charlie, and get around our own people and it's Bouchique of the fool. That is not being ready for prime time. You have in Alaska a black female news reporter who gave up her position to report the news or the weather so that she could go start a Kickstarter so she could sell weed. She's only asking for $5,000, not $5 million. What the hell happened to her income tax return? She has an upper middle class job and yet she's asking for $5,000. What the hell can you do with $5,000? To start a marijuana co-op in Alaska. What in the hell can you do with $5,000? I ask you all. That is coonery at its finest. Not from a female living in the housing projects. Not from a female living in the hood. It's supposed to be an upper middle class black female. She is not ready for prime time. I am sitting here and I'm watching. If you all want to know why it is that I join very, very few groups anywhere on Facebook or any other place like that, and since they kept blowing up my damn accounts, I've lost a lot of the groups I used to be members of, so. But one of the reasons why I don't, Mona, is in particular because I keep encountering the North American black male. You see, the North American black male is really concentrated on coonery and buffoonery. He says illogical, irrational things that are not practical. He is a person who specializes in jingoism and sloganeering, trying to figure out some cute or witty phrase to spit out, but he doesn't actually present the means or the qualities of a serious and mature leader. The North American black male is the class clown. He's not the leader. He's not the valedictorian. He's the class clown. He wants to be entertaining. He wants to be laughed at. He wants to be popular. But he wants to be popular for how outlandish and entertaining he thinks he is, not for what he's accomplished. I have lived my life trying to figure out how I can gain more responsibility, not less. I don't want fewer responsibilities. I want more responsibilities. Because that is indicative of an individual who is growing and maturing. I don't want fewer accomplishments. I want more. Because if you are getting older, you're supposed to be getting older and wiser and stronger and better. But the North American black male has become a creature devoid of the desire for adult responsibilities. This is coonery. That's buffoonery. Where you hand over adult responsibilities to massa so you can go dance a jig and try to be the plantation buck. Adult responsibilities belong to massa. Basic, primal, guttural bodily functions like sex and drinking, that's what you'll specialize in. You are not ready for prime time. Ladies, I'm going to come back to y'all in just a minute here, but I want to say something here tonight. And if you haven't heard it before, this place is different from any other. We don't talk about gender issues per se here. We don't do gender warring. And we never have. I've always been turned off by that kind of thing. It's always been pointless because the people who engage in that kind of thing are not actually trying to arrive at a solution. They're just all trying to sit around and mentally rape each other, is what they're really trying to do. They are trying to mentally and emotionally masturbate or even sexually assault each other. That's what they're trying to do. And that is not indicative of adulthood. What is going on in all of your inboxes out there, that is not indicative of adulthood. What's going on your Twitter feeds, that is not indicative of adulthood. That is not indicative of a people who are prepared to run their own affairs. Let me say that again. What you all are fixating on is not indicative of a people who are capable of running their own affairs as a nation. Mona Lachey has got an inbox right now of black males of every age group that you could imagine, sending pictures of their genitals and every type of ridiculous offering. And I've instructed her and every other female, y'all need to put these folk on blast about that. Because these are guys who pollute the waters. They contaminate the well. They're a poison. Because they are grown men who are refusing to grow up. They just outright refuse. And they are worthless. Let me say this again. You are worthless. You are not garbage. You are less than garbage. Because we need grown men and leaders, and you are actually running from the responsibilities of being a leader. You're actually running from it. And you are hiding behind everything. The current crop of black males are such tremendous cowards. They hide behind everything. They will hide behind anything. They will hide behind the skirts of females, and there's a reason for that, which I'll come to later. They will hide behind television and the media. They will hide behind slavery and plantations. They will hide behind Mayat. They will hide behind Ra. They will hide behind Hotep. They will hide behind the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. It is absolutely disgusting and embarrassing, some of the responses that you get from supposedly grown black men in response to taking on adulthood. I have never been married, but every single one of my girlfriends that I had, I paid to get their hair done. I paid to get their nails done. I paid for their pedicures. I paid for their shoes, for the most part. For two reasons. Number one, she represents me. And you are going to represent me well. People are going to look at you and understand that she represents him well. Because if you are going to be associating with me and connected and associated to me, you are going to display yourself in a manner that is worthy of me. Second of all, I pay for it because that is what the leader does. I've had girlfriends who made more money than me at the time. And I'd be ready to dispense some Sharia law. What happens to a thief in Islam if they steal something? What do they do with the hand? Now I go to the restaurant and you talking about paying for something? Oh, Sharia law. Absolutely not. I was talking to somebody the other day who said that there was this guy. She was talking about something she had read where this guy was talking about how he would take a woman out to eat, but that there was a $25 limit. That he told her about it after they got where they were going. Took her to this restaurant and she's thinking, okay, I've been here before. This is nice and everything. Get there and he tells her that there's a $25 limit on what she can order. And she was like, hell, I mean, I left my damn money at home. If I had known that, I would have brought my own. Just to give you all some example here, folks, if she orders some lobster and crab or a calamari or something, that's going to be more than $25. I mean, seriously. You see, the reason that so many of us as black people, and particularly black males, the reason why you end up with deficient females is because of nonsense like that. You see, taking her to a restaurant is supposed to be her audition. Taking her to the restaurant is supposed to be the audition to see how she behaves herself in public. How does she treat money? What does she like to eat? How does she act and compose herself in a public setting? Because we're never going to get around to spending thousands if we don't see how she acts with dozens of dollars. This is to prevent us from getting to a point where you're boo-hooing and singing the blues all over Facebook about I'm on child support or we got divorced and she took half. Well, you never found out what kind of female she... That $50 would have saved you $50,000. You see, if you had taken the time to find out how she was with $50, we never would have wasted $50,000. But black males are the class clowns of American society, and as such, they approach everything being coonish and buffoonish, and everything like it's just a game to be played, and they're spectators. You are not ready for prime time. If you have to take a female to a restaurant and you have to tell her how much you're going to spend, it sounds to me like you can't afford to go on a date. That's what it sounds like to me. Sounds like to me that you need to be spending some time at your job doing some overtime so that you can actually afford to do this thing that you are attempting to do right now. Because you see, you're wearing a pair of shoes that you really can't afford, and you got some rims on your car that you really can't afford. And now you're trying to take a female to dinner because you really want to take her to bed, and in reality, you can afford to do neither. You can actually afford to do neither. But the class clown wants to sit next to the valedictorian and get a degree also. You are not ready for prime time. You're not ready. A man is supposed to be in a leadership position, and he's supposed to be using that as his opportunity to demonstrate his leadership. You can ask the people that I've done business with. They will tell you. They will tell you that getting paid was never a problem. They will tell you that negotiation was never a problem. TBA doesn't negotiate. I don't ask for a deal. I say, here's the deal. You can take it, you can leave it. If you charge a fee, I ask what the fee is. Here's the deal. I didn't come to make a deal. I came to do business. And if you want to know why your females do not take you seriously as men, it's because they see white men and Asian men and Arab men, and that type of incident does not occur. But that's because these other men are not playing no high school ass games. We've got too many black males out here playing games like that. But there is a reason for that. And that is because most black males have been raised by bastard baby-making single mothers, which means that they were raised by females who actually never fully grew up themselves. So these teenage girls are raising boys. Immature girls are raising boys to be immature males. And so you are getting the type of males you've raised. Oh, the irony. The average black female expects failure from herself. She knows that she does not actually make the grade. She doesn't actually make the cut. And she knows that. She looks on television and she's seeing all these other women. She looks in magazines. She goes to the mall. She goes to her school. And let's just be honest about this. And I'll come to Mona here in a moment about this. But ladies, black females out there, can we just be honest about this? You know when you don't make the cut. And you know that most of you do not actually make the cut. It's like Eliza Doolittle from My Fair Lady. What she is at the end of the movie after Henry Higgins is done with her, done cleaning her up and refining her and teaching her to be a civilized human being, after he's done with that, that makes the cut. The average black female, though, is Eliza squawking and squealing and screeching at the beginning of the story. That's what we got. We can't take you to a party. We can't take you to a meeting. We can't take you anywhere. You don't make the cut. Because whereas the average black male in America is trying to be the class clown, the average black female in America is trying to be the class slut. And they see these non-black females who get the tiara and get the homecoming queen status. Well, I want to be the homecoming slut. Well, you can do that. And where's my tiara? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Sluts don't get a tiara. Sluts don't even get a dress. Because what we want to do with you does not require clothing. Damn sure doesn't earn a crown. We need a black charm school for black females. We really do. Oh, I'm hurting a lot of feelings here tonight, and this is why I do this after hours. We need a black charm school for black females today. Because the bastard baby maker generation of the baby boomers has completely and totally done the work of white supremacy and destroyed black females in America. Black females in America are destroyed. They have no concept of what it means to be mothers, to be ladies, or at this point, they've even lost what it means to be female. You're not ready for prime time. not ready. The fact that we even have to say that that is what we need, that we need a black female charm school today, that tells you the damn mess that we're in. You do not make the cut. You don't make the grade. You are not ready for prime time. And in reality, so much of it is fueled by your fears. I want black men to understand something about black females today. The reality is that most of them expect to fail. They meet you waiting for the time that you're going to tell them, okay, you can leave now. They don't actually believe that they are good enough to earn your company. They don't actually believe that. You know, when a guy is sitting up here and he's talking about fighting somebody and he's just all out there in the streets and he's just the loudest damn thing. I'll take all you niggas, go on there. I'll whoop all y'all ass. Bring your punk ass over here. I'll do all y'all right now. I'll whoop that one of you. Why is he doing all that yelling? Why is he doing all that screaming? You see, among birds and flying creatures, or shall I say flightless birds, you see that a lot among flightless birds. Among chickens, roosters, peacocks. What do? You notice that when they, quote, fight, one of the things that they do is lift up their feathers, lift up their wings. Now, that doesn't make a lot of sense if you are trying to hurt somebody. I mean, after all, they don't have fists. There's no reason for you to lift up your tails and lift up your wings. You don't. Not the way that they do it. He's not going to sock the other rooster. Why does he keep lifting up his wings like that? Because he is trying to be intimidating. Lifting up his wings is one of the ways that he can try to be intimidating, try to be imposing, make himself look like he's bigger than he really is, or that he has more potential to harm you than he really does. And that's why we get a lot of that from black females. A lot of posturing, a lot of flailing and swinging things around, a lot of talking like, I don't need this, I don't need that, to mask it, to make it seem like they are less vulnerable than they really are. Because the truth is that they spend a lot of their time scared to death of being rejected. They spend the majority of their time scared of being rejected and actually just waiting for it. They go into every situation just expecting that, okay, any moment now. Any moment now. The other shoe is going to drop any moment now. They actually do not believe that they are good enough. They don't. Of course, they talk a good game. They're lifting up their wings and showing their feathers. They talk a good game. But in reality, what they expect to happen is what usually happens. They expect that at any moment, they're going to be told they're no good. They're not good enough. You're not light enough. You're not cute enough. At any moment, that shoe's going to drop. That's what they're really expecting. Brothers, they are scared to death that that's what you're going to say. So much of this that appears to be bravado and belligerence is actually fear. Just good old basic fear. But they have to make it seem like they're not afraid. I guess that's as close to maintaining their dignity as they're going to get, but that's the way that this little absurd, insane game is played. And there are a lot of you out there who are playing this game because your mothers, 75% of you were raised by single mothers. Your mothers have been living by whorehouse rules. They have been walking through life playing the game by whorehouse rules. And ladylike behavior is neither needed nor expected at a whorehouse. A whore is expected to render customer service. She is not expected to be a lady. Not expected to be a mother, damn sure not expected to be a wife. She is expected to render services. And what she tries to do is figure out how can she wring the most benefit out of the services that she's going to render. That's what she tries to figure out. How can I wring the most benefit out of this? How can I trick the mark into giving up the most? How can I do that? That's what they do. And so many of you as black males, the sons of these single mothers living by the whorehouse rules, so many of you have picked up on that. The females are out here trying to figure out how they can cheat the males and how they can swindle them. And the males are out here trying to figure out how they can do the same thing. And this is why we are witnessing this psychological circular firing squad, where the females are out here asking for outlandish, absurd things they have no right to expect. And the males are out here doing the same. Everybody's trying to figure out how they can get absolutely everything in exchange for absolutely nothing. And there's only one way that you can do that consistently in life, people. There's only one way you can do that. There's only one way that you can consistently get something from somebody and give absolutely nothing. You're going to have to steal it. You are going to have to steal it, or you are going to have to enslave them, which is another way of taking it. But you're not going to be able to keep that up for very long. You're going to have to figure out some way to cheat them and take it from them. That's what you're going to have to do. You have to do that. You have to. So you all spend so much of your time out here trying to psychologically batter and beat and bludgeon other people into giving you what you want. The females try to find some weak male who either doesn't have much experience with females or he's just not prepared, and she tries to bully and batter and whore herself and psychologically bludgeon him into giving her what she wants to turn him into her little puppy. And the males are out here lying, cheating, stealing, running every type of psychological con game you can imagine. And the reason for that is because neither of you are ready for prime time. Neither of you are ready for adult responsibilities. And that is why we are reading and seeing these absolutely preposterous things. Why? Why on earth? You should be embarrassed to say something like that. Somebody saying that that he's bragging about how much money he did not spend with his female. Why are you with her if she is not worth your money? If sex is all you want, it shouldn't require any type of money, much less a meal. If that's all you want. That kind of shows how dumb and dull-witted you are if you're trying to spend money to get sex. Sex should not cost you money. You should be able to get that with no money down, no jacket required. Wait a minute. Let me rephrase that. No money down, no financing. No signature required. I was thinking of the old Phil Collins album. Look it up. As I witness these things, I say that, you should be embarrassed to say something like that. As a man, I would be mortified and humiliated to tell people something like that. How could I walk out in public and telling people that I'm proud of how much money I didn't spend? You got Negroes out here bragging about spending hundreds of dollars on a pair of shoes, and then bragging even more about how they spent no money on this female they were with. And as I explained before, you can get more money. Your time is more valuable than your money. If you're saying that this female is not worth your money, how in the hell did she suddenly become worth your time? But the class clown sees his life as worthless, and because his life is worthless, his money actually occupies a higher position of value than even his time. A man who brags that he spent more money on his car than his female is as ignorant and ridiculous as a female who brags that she spent more money on her hair than she spent on her children's well-being. A man who brags that he spent more money on his shoes or his car than his woman is as ignorant and ridiculous as a woman who brags that she spent more money getting her hair done than she has in feeding and taking care of her children. So the kids are eating Kool-Aid powder and Fritos, but mom is getting a $500 hairdo. There is no difference between the two of you, none whatsoever. None. And it shows how ridiculously and sickeningly immature you are. You are so immature, it is sickening. It's stomach churning. And you're all out here on the internet and in public and just patting yourselves on the back. But you know what the reason for that is? The reason for that is because you don't have anything to lose. It's true. I mean, the dirty, nasty hood rats that you're stumbling across on Twitter and whatnot, that's the best you're gonna do. The class clown black males who talk like that, they ain't gonna get nothing better than their mama. And she was the lowest bottom rung of the ladder. So you see, he has nothing to lose. He can talk as stupid as he wants to. He's got nothing to lose. Nothing. That's why he's not worried. He's not worried because he's not going to lose anything. He can talk as stupid as he wants to because he will never be eligible for a Beyonce. He will never be eligible for an Angela Bassett. He will never be eligible for a Attila Shabazz. He will never be eligible for one of those. He's only eligible for Chandelier. That's what he is eligible for. Chandelier is going to sit there and let you tell her that you're going to give her, that you've invited her out to eat. And after you get there, not before, after, she will sit there and let you say with a straight face, as if this is a serious conversation that could actually take place, that you're going to put an allowance on her after you brought her there. She is supposed to get up and walk away from that table and call a cab. But she's not supposed to sit. The only thing she's supposed to do with them breadsticks is throw them at you. And the fact that your mother could raise you to believe that that was appropriate behavior, that tells you something. But the problem is that Chandelier will sit there and accept it. She will tell all of her girlfriends that she is in a real relationship after a guy does something like that. That's the problem. The problem is that busted, broke-ass Negroes like that will still be able to get a female into bed. You know what the problem is with cute baby mamas? You know what the problem is with that, everybody? The problem with cute single mothers is that they got pregnant by some no good Negro. And as long as those fellas are able to get a cute female into bed, he sees no reason that he should change. Even though we're only talking about 20% of the black male population, I'm not giving an excuse or an allowance for that. As long as that 20% of the population who should not be eligible for a female to spit at them as she drives by down the street, as long as they can get female after female into bed, there is no incentive for them to change. None. Not any. Why should he? He is willing to lower his expectations of life to just sex and food. As long as he can get both of those, he's straight. And there's always some female out there who's willing to lower herself enough to give it to them. No wonder things don't change. You are not ready for prime time. You're not ready. You're not ready. If the only thing that bothers you or humiliates you is when a man curses at you, you have lost a lot. You've lost a lot if the only thing that humiliates you or bothers you is when a man calls you some profanity. That's the only thing that bothers you. That's the only thing that worries you. That is insane. That should never happen. Ever. You're supposed to have more dignity for yourself than that. This is what I mean by that charm school. So many of you as females are insulted every single day by males. You don't even recognize it. You are so accustomed to the environment of no expectations that you are being dissed every day by males and you don't even know it. You don't even get it or see it. These guys are dissing you to your face and you're not even recognizing it. You see, as a businessman, I don't take excuses like that. When somebody tells me that he can't pay me, but I see brand new shoes on his feet, he is insulting me. He's insulting my intelligence. You got brand new shoes, but you telling me I can't get paid. Foot Locker can get paid, but Jason can't get paid. That's a problem. Nike can get paid, but I can't get paid. That's an insult. And I shouldn't need you to curse at me before I realize that that is an insult. So Sean John can get paid. But we go to Ruth's Chris and I'm being given a damn allowance. I'm being given a spending cap. But when you went to Foot Locker, there was no spending cap. Foot Locker can get an unlimited check, a blank check, unlimited funds. But I'm supposed to be your female. I get a spending cap. So let's see. One of you give unlimited value to. The other of us gets a limit. But most of you females are willing to accept that type of arrangement. And guess what? Most of these guys know it. You see, the game that gets played, Mona, is there's a public game and there's a private game. The public game is you call them bees and hoes in public. You talk stupid to them in public. That's the way the game goes. You say that mess in public and she gets outraged. She gets indignant. She's talking this, that, and the other. But once you get her by herself, then she accepts it. So she was incredulous in front of the world. When we get her by herself, same thing, we just do it all over again. Now she's accepting it. They're willing to accept it as long as we just don't make them admit to it in front of everybody else. And every time that that game is played between both males and females, it drives down the value of everything for everybody. We are dealing with a bunch of people, Mona, who are not ready for prime time. They are insulting each other to their faces every day. And it really shouldn't even require us to spell it out for them like that, but I guess it does. What do you say? Okay, it's telling me that telling me that she's there, but I'm not hearing her for some reason. I'll see if I can try to get her back here in a moment. But we have a situation where we're playing games every day. And that these are grown people who are behaving this way. These are grown people who are acting like this. And that's the thing that is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, we can hear you, Mona. You have my voice playing back there behind you somewhere.
And that these are grown people.
Okay, I'm not sure why I'm hearing me behind you, but I'll give you a minute to get that taken care of. But what is happening now is that we've got folk here, and if you're supposed to be grown people, then what is it that you are actually expecting from people? What is it that you are actually expecting from them? Are you expecting to actually speak and behave like adults? Or are you telling yourself that we are going to be able to do something different than that? That, okay, let me see how I can develop or how I can get something for nothing. That is what becomes a problem. That is what becomes a problem for everyone. When everybody sees that kind of thing happening, and everybody knows that that kind of thing is occurring, and you are watching it happen, and you have lowered yourself to the point that you're accepting that as simply the way that you get treated. And I know that a lot of you had some absolutely horrendous role models in that regard. But right now, you have to make a choice. You have to make a choice about whether or not you are actually going to do what's necessary. Whether or not you're actually going to do what's necessary to have something better than your parents did. I guess we'll start there. It's going to be a matter of whether or not you're going to be able to do something better than your parents did. Because if you're of a mindset that you're going to be able to do exactly the same thing that your parents did and that you're going to have better results, then that's going to be a different problem for you if you actually believe that can happen. I did the black female fitness motivation because there are so many black males out there who were whining and pitching and moaning about they didn't like the way the black women were not taking care of themselves and yada yada yada. And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to do something about that. I'm going to do something about it. We're going to get together and we're going to make something happen for that. And relatively speaking, I've gotten a good response on it, but we haven't gotten nearly as good a response as we would get if we were doing a bunch of gender warring crap. I guess that there are a lot of folk who just see it as too boring or whatever the case might be. But that's going to be too much there. I guess they consider it to be too boring to see that something is actually getting done. And that is because as black males, we are so used to the idea that we can that we don't have to build anything. And that's the thing that should be mortifying you the most. As black males, we're not used to dealing with the idea that we have to build something. So we're not used to watching something being built. We're not used to watching something being made. So we don't actually deal with the idea of building something. We're not used to watching something come into fruition that we made with our own hands. You grew up being told that the best things in life are free, but in reality, that's not true. You grew up being told the best things in life are free, and what you're really doing is spending your time sitting around becoming beggars. You spend your time becoming beggars. You spend your time becoming beggars, and then that leads to an even worse condition. That you have grown men who are trying to figure out, how can I elevate myself through life by becoming a beggar? How can I figure out how I'm going to beg my way through things instead of building your way through something? Don't you understand that you do not have any control over anything that you didn't build? If you didn't build it, brothers, you're not going to have any type of control over it. If you didn't build it, you are not going to have any type of control over it. And as men, you have been waiting for white daddy, the white media, the white government, now black women. You're waiting for everybody to come in and make something for you, and then you can just swoop in. I made a post on Facebook a few weeks ago, if you all didn't hear about it there. I made a post where I said that most black males have been conditioned to adopt a scavenger mentality, like vultures. Most black males have adopted a scavenger mentality. Don't build anything, don't make anything, don't create anything. Just sit around and wait. Sit back and watch. Try to make sure you don't get stepped on or shot. See if somebody else builds something. And if they do, then you just swoop in and see if you can pick off a few pieces from it. Now, you're not going to build anything yourself. You just wait to see if somebody else builds something. And then you see if you can swoop in and pick off a piece for yourself. That's what you try to figure out what you can do. See if there's a piece you can try to fly in real quick and yank off on your own. Now, you never get all of anything. You don't even get a good piece of something. You just try to grab a couple of crumbs. Like mice. Can I just scurry in, grab a crumb, and get out? Have you all ever seen a society, an animal system, anything that was run or lorded over? Have you ever seen a place where the scavengers were the richest, most profitable, and well-off people? Most well-off animals. Most well-off anything. Show me the scavengers that are the most powerful and prosperous of their breed. Show them to me. I'd like someone to show me the scavengers that run their society, that run their phylum. Show me. Because I can show you plenty of scavengers that die and can barely survive. I can't think of any that prosper. But I'm waiting. Go ahead and give me that one if you can. Go ahead and do that. Now, when you have a situation where the people who are supposed to be leading have adopted a scavenger mentality, don't you know that your enemies don't even have to fight you anymore? Your enemies don't have to fight you when you've adopted a scavenger mentality. They don't have to do anything to you when you've adopted a mentality that says that I'm not going to compete with you to outbuild you at anything. I'm just going to wait until you've built something, and then I'll try to swoop in later and see what I can get. If you'll flick me off a few crumbs. Flick me off a few crumbs. I will wait for the crumbs. Don't you know that that's a servant? Hell, that's worse than a servant. That's a beggar. Well, I don't have to be scared or afraid of him. He's not going to challenge me for anything. How can he? How can he? When you say, understand something here, brothers. This is something that you need to understand very, very well, because most of you being raised by the disciples of the whorehouse culture, i.e. the American black single mother, most of you have been raised to be inferior, and you better shake that mess off now. You cannot control what you did not build. If you didn't build it, then you don't own it. And if you don't own it, you cannot control it. If you did not build the success that your woman enjoys, you do not control it. If you did not build the house that your woman lives in, you do not control it. If you did not build the economic infrastructure that your women and your children exist in, then you do not control it. Plain and simple. You cannot control what you did not build. And as males, we are supposed to derive our value and our sense of worth from what we've built and what we've accomplished. That is where our value and sense of worth is supposed to originate from. All of it is supposed to come from there. If it doesn't, that's a problem. If your sense of worth as a male comes from anything other than what you have built and what you have accomplished, you are defective. You are a defective male. If your happiness and contentment and fulfillment comes from something other than what you have built and accomplished, you are a failure. You're a failure. And let me give you the flip side of that, ladies. If you are a female and you cannot appreciate the value of what a man builds, you do not deserve to be with a man. Fellas, if the female that you are with does not properly appreciate what you have built, if she's still mewling and whining about how she needs more attention, and she doesn't have respect for your prerogative to build, that female does not need to be with a man. She's on some Section 8 food stamp mentality, where she sits around being cooed and burped and coddled like a big baby. She's not ready for the world of adult feminine responsibilities. If all her conversations come back to how she needs to be emotionally catered to, and why can't you spend some time with me emotionally? I'm needy, I'm dependent, I'm emotionally dependent, I'm needy. If everything she does comes back to that, that female does not need to be with a man. That's why so many single mothers have children, because she is emotionally dependent and she can only relate to other emotionally dependent beings. She does not know how to relate to someone who's not emotionally dependent and deficient and needy. She only knows how to relate to organisms that are needy and dependent. Do not waste your life on somebody who does not have proper respect for that, because she's not going anywhere and she's not going to help you go anywhere either. And there are a bunch of females out there who have no idea, no concept, no concern. They are not trying to build anything, and they do not understand a woman's place in the hierarchy of building. As a female, she is not ready for prime time. A woman has a place in the hierarchy of building. And when you meet a female and she comes into contact with a man who is accomplished and building, and she wants him to start focusing on her, thanks for building all that, so now you can lavish attention on me. That is a female who has picked up a scavenger mentality. She wants you to build something so that she can come in and capitalize and pick off a few crumbs. She is not fit to be with you. And you're a fool if you keep her around. She's not ready for prime time. And she's not ready for you. That is not the way that building with a person works. Now, these are things that males and females are supposed to automatically understand. You're not supposed to be with a female who is happy with you being broke. And her happiness being broke has nothing to do with her saying, no, I don't want us broke. Nobody's going to sit there and say they want you broke. Fellas, you have to be smarter than that. Nobody's going to sit there and say, I want us being broke. Don't judge people by what they say, judge them by what they do. When you start making moves that eliminate being broke, and she's there saying, well, you have a choice between making more money or spending more time with me. I've already spent time with you. Well, we can spend more. Now she's telling you that you need to be happy being broke. When she says something to you like, don't we have enough money already? When she says that line, you are supposed to immediately move her position to side piece status. You see, the female who will let you have sex without money, that's the side piece. You don't take her to a restaurant. You don't buy her shoes. You don't get her hair done. You do not spend money on your side piece because she does not require money. The side piece does not need money to be spent on it. The bed buddy does not need money to be spent on her. When she tells you that she is of side piece status, when she says that money isn't everything, you as men, you need to be looking for those key phrases. Money isn't everything. Money doesn't buy happiness. Don't we have enough money? When you hear that, understand, okay, she just identified her side piece status. Do not try to rehabilitate her. Do not try to change her. Do not try to convert her. Do not try to make her grow as a person. This is a basic character defect. You cannot fix it. You will lose everything you have. You will lose all your money and all your life trying to fix somebody who is a vampire. And as males, you are supposed to recognize that. As a man, you are not supposed to be demanding something for nothing. And as a female, you are not supposed to be demanding something for nothing. And neither of you are supposed to be expecting or accepting nothing for something or something for nothing. There is always supposed to be an exchange, and if you're with a person who does not require that, then you have to treat that person differently. Ladies, a man will have sex with the female who doesn't respect money. He just won't marry her. Now, you have to make a decision. Are you trying to be the wife or are you trying to be the girlfriend? See, the girlfriend gets sex and attention. The wife gets a commitment and investment. Now, you have to make a choice which one you're going to be. Most of you do not qualify as wife material. Most of you do not qualify. So, you can really just kind of disregard that to a certain extent. But I wanted to talk about this tonight. I wanted to talk about this because there are so many of us in black society who are simply unprepared for prime time. We are supposed to be fully functioning adults. We're supposed to have fully aware relationships, and we don't have that. Now, how are you going to be able to build a nation and you don't even know how to build a relationship? Tell me, how does that work? How am I supposed to believe that you are suddenly an expert in building a nation and you don't even know how to build a relationship? You don't even know how to relate to the person on the other side of the coffee table from you, and yet I'm supposed to believe that you are going to be able to help us build a nation, and white supremacy is going to be on the run because of you. I'm supposed to believe that when you aren't even ready for prime time. You see, I expect kindergarten answers from a 5-year-old. I do not expect kindergarten answers from an adult. I am insulted when I hear kindergarten answers from what is supposedly an adult. That is an insult to me when I hear that. And there are a lot of you who are still engaging in that type of behavior. You are not fit to be with anyone. And most of the people that you are meeting are not fit to be with anyone either. And it's time for some adult behavior to start taking root. But that can be kind of hard. That can be kind of hard. That can be kind of hard because how do you adopt a behavior that you've never actually even seen? How can you adopt a behavior that you've never actually even witnessed? It is not enough to see Claire Huxtable interact with her husband on TV. Have you ever seen your father interact with your mother, or more importantly, your mother interact with your father like that? Most of you have not. Most of you have not. Most of these females out here today have no frame of reference. You are thrust into a position where you have to compete against non-black females, and you don't actually even have a frame of reference for how you're supposed to do that. You're not even fully aware of what it takes to do that. What do you do when you have never actually been instructed in the ways of ladylike behavior? What do you do? How do you support a man, or how do you prove yourself to be fit for a man of power, wealth, and influence when the most you've ever seen is old Pookie Ray in the neighborhood who kept getting locked up for dealing drugs? Pookie is not a mover of wealth. Pookie is not a power broker. You've never actually seen it. So the average black female is just stumbling around. The average black female is just stumbling around like, man, I don't know how to do that. You can talk about Kim Kardashian and her family all you want to. Those are women who were raised and taught how to deal with men of wealth and affluence. And that is why those females have been able to maintain the wealth and the affluence that they had. Robert Kardashian got the money. Kris Kardashian was able to keep it. And she taught her daughters, Kim, Chloe, and whatever, she taught them how to get affluence and maintain it. She was able to teach her daughters how to maintain the wealth and affluence that she had gained. I ask you all today, where are the black mothers who are teaching their daughters how to maintain affluence? Tell me. Show me, where are they? I'm listening. Show me where they are. I'll wait. We've been through Pam Grier, Iman, Alice Walker. We'll go down the list if you really want to do that. Oprah Winfrey, Halle Berry. Come on now. We can do this. Show me where we are inculcating and indoctrinating our daughters in the ways of power and influence. Michelle Obama doesn't even qualify, please. She doesn't even qualify. She's good for a sound bite, but we can all see the ratchet just dripping out of her. And from the way their daughters behave, need I say more? The prosecution rests. We are not able to compete against power brokers because we are not training and grooming individuals who are worthy of being power brokers. No wonder you feel so insecure. Because you are not actually capable. You don't even know how the conversation is supposed to go. You don't even know how the conversation is supposed to begin. They don't even know how they're supposed to begin the conversation. No wonder you're not able to take it to the next step. No wonder you're not able to do the next thing. We need for you to teach your children how to... you're supposed to be identifying a man who is capable of doing that. And that's not happening. You are supposed to be capable of finding and identifying a man who is capable of doing that. And then you are supposed to be able to show him that you can be a valuable component in what he's building. That's the way it's supposed to work. That's the way it's supposed to work. But can we be honest? The average black female knows that she doesn't make the cut. She knows she does not actually make the cut. Not even against somebody like Kim Kardashian. And the fellas are just happy to hear that. Because since you don't make the cut against Kim, you damn sure don't make the cut against anybody else. So, now he doesn't see it as imperative to build you anything at all. Why? because you don't even recognize what a built structure is supposed to be. You don't even recognize it. So many of these fellas, let me tell you right now, can I just be honest with you right now? Taking a look at our socioeconomic situation in America today, 90% of black men should not be getting any sex from any females anywhere at all for any reason. Period. Bar none. End of discussion. 90% of black males should not be getting any sex from any females anywhere. Because we ain't built nothing and we haven't earned the status to be able to do that. 90% of us have not earned the necessary status to do that. So when I'm seeing any of them getting any sex at all, I'm like, whoa, hold a second. Because I know 9 out of 10 shouldn't be, and I just met 2. 9 out of 10 should not be getting anything, and I just met 3. That means 2 too many are getting through. So I know that somebody's standards are not high enough. If only 1/10 are supposed to be getting anything, and yet I just met a third who are, something is wrong. Somebody does not know how to judge or evaluate whether a man is supposed to be spending any time with her. Somebody's lost on that. And the fellas are capitalizing on it. No wonder they're not building anything. No wonder they don't have any prizes to come bring to you. No wonder they didn't bring you anything. As a black female, do you know that if, as a black female, if the police are whooping your ass, this is how crazy the situation is right now. Let me just tell you right now. This is how absolutely nutty this situation is right now. The average black female in, let's just pick a place, Ferguson, Watts, LA, Dallas, we can go down the list. The average black female can get her ass beaten by the police it'll be a bunch of grown-ass black men standing around with their cell phone cameras. Some of them will be chanting World Star Hip Hop. Some of them will be chanting YouTube. While she's getting the Krispy Kreme Rocky Road beat out of her. And don't you know after that is over, whether she's released from jail or whatever, don't you know that after that is over, she will go home and sleep with one of the dudes who were sitting there recording her on the cell phone, getting her ass kicked, and did not lift a finger. Now, let me tell you, that is a reward system. And you just rewarded these guys for standing around and doing nothing. You just taught them that you aren't worth anything. You just taught them that you are not worth anything at all. That was what you just taught them. You just taught them that you're worth nothing. That is something that is simply never supposed to be able to happen. You are not ready for prime time, and the guys that you're talking about dealing with are not ready either. And right now we have a couple of generations of black people who are sitting around trying to bamboozle each other. Trying to. And even that's not going so well. When you are a man who is ready for prime time, you bring your intelligence. You are not the dumbass in the room. You know about government, and I'm not talking about a bunch of damn conspiracy theories you heard from Alex Jones either. When you are a man who is ready for prime time, you are ready for power, wealth, and influence. When you are a man who is ready for prime time, you evaluate the female you spend time with because you have built something, and like everything else in your life, your female is supposed to accommodate what you are building. When you are a man who is ready for prime time, you've got something to lose. If you are a man who has nothing to lose, number one, we need to reconsider whether or not you actually qualify as a man. Number two, you are not ready for prime time. When you are a man who quibbles with a female over money for something that you invited her for, you're not ready for prime time. When you are a female and you do not appreciate a male who is building, and appreciate doesn't mean that you like going to Shoe Fab and getting you some damn perfume. Appreciate means that you are trying to be an active part of what he is building and what he is doing. If you are a female who does not appreciate a man who is building and all you can think about is, well, he could be spending his time with me, you are not ready for prime time. If you are a female who is still trying to figure out what ladylike behavior is, you are not ready for prime time. And let me give you a hint. If more than 2 men have told you about your, quote, attitude and emotional neediness, or if you have slept with more than 6 men, you're probably not ready for prime time. Oh, I wasn't supposed to break it to you like that. Okay, well, you can just ignore what I just said if you desire. But, just between you and me, you're not ready for prime time, kid. No. If you have it in your mind that you're supposed to be approaching the opposite sex trying to get something for nothing, you are not ready for prime time. I don't subscribe to terms like gold digger, and the reason that I don't is because I would not have a female around me who does not have an appreciation for money. If she doesn't have an appreciation for money, that means she doesn't mind if I'm broke. If she doesn't mind if I'm broke, she's never going to make sure that it doesn't get that far. You're not ready for prime time. You're not ready for prime time. If you two are talking about children, or worse, if you have children, and she has never raised a conversation about what you all are going to build to pass on to those children, and if he, the man, the father, is not actively right now building what he's going to pass on to those children, you are not ready for prime time. You're not building anything to pass on to your children. A house does not qualify as something you're passing on to your children. If you die and the only thing your kids got was a house, you have failed. You failed. That was okay 30, 40 years ago. This is the 21st century. Poverty is a choice. And just like having a high school diploma is no longer sufficient for going out into the working world, telling your kids I left you a car that I done put 300,000 damn miles on, that does not qualify as leaving them something. What qualifies as leaving them something is, what did you leave me that I can use to compete against these other folk out here who already have 70 and 80% of what they need? That is what will determine whether you actually left me anything or not. What did you leave me that can do that? I can get a damn house. What else did you do? And a lot of you, I'm sad to say, it's pathetic. And you are pathetic because you are not able to actually answer that question in the affirmative. A lot of you are out here walking around pretending to be adults, and in reality, you are not. You're big babies. You are not ready for prime time. And that should be embarrassing. That should be an embarrassment to you. It should be. It's not, but it should be. And to the people who are not ready for prime time, and you don't know it, you are the ones that those of us who are have to make a conscious and concerted effort to discard and leave behind. If you don't know that you're not ready for prime time, it's not our responsibility to tell you that. If you're a black male who ain't building nothing, and when somebody talks about capitalism, you start talking about spirituality, you know damn well you ain't building anything. You are not trying to do anything. You are scared, you are cowardly, and you're looking for somebody to give you a way to retain your infant baby status. That's somebody who does not deserve to keep walking. You are a drain and worthless. You're a drain on society. You are not only not ready for prime time, you're not ready for breathing air. If you are a female and the only thing you left your children is a hairstyle and some damn high heel pumps, you have failed as a human being. You failed. If that's all you have to offer, you have failed. And the best thing that the rest of us can do is to leave you behind. But I want everybody who understands that, no more talking to them about that. When you identify them, that's it. But you need to learn to identify them. And in a lot of cases, it may just be you, by the way. And I know that you know it. You know full well if what I'm saying tonight applies to you. You know it. You know if what I'm saying tonight applies to you. You know that. You know if that's you. And yes, I'm saying it just like that because you know it's you. I want to leave you tonight with one small anecdote here. It's football season. And typically at the Black channel, we see that the numbers of people listening drop off during football season. We notice a decline in listenership during football season. And that's when I love putting out the most information. Because you see, the people who are really serious could really give less than a damn about a football game. If you all will remember, I was broadcasting the night that the Saints won the Super Bowl. I was broadcasting that night. Didn't give any score updates, didn't give a damn what was going on. I'm not going to give a damn about the NFL until a black man owns the NFL. And right now, all you got are high-paid slaves. And if black people started owning the NFL, Congress would remove the NFL's tax-exempt status that day. If black people owned the NFL, Congress would remove the NFL's tax-exempt status that day. I could give a damn about football. I'm trying to play Moneyball. And them Negroes, them field Negroes in the NFL, them field bucks, they ain't doing a damn thing for black society. It didn't do us any good before they got there. It's not going to hurt us if they lose every dime they got. That's the real damn shame. What is the connection between those black males in the NFL and the rest of black society? Other than us being cheerleaders for them. Damn being cheerleaders for somebody. Show me what you are producing. Show me what you're producing. You see, in white society, they understand why it is necessary to maintain the wealth and to keep it within their ethnic group. Why do they keep it within their ethnic group? Because even if you never meet that white person that the money ultimately winds up with, that money is still going to benefit you. Why? Because you have lessened the degrees of separation between you and the money that you've spent. You see, ideally, you would keep the money at your house. Well, that's not possible, so you keep the money between your family and friends. That's not going to be totally possible, so you keep the money within your ethnic community. Because once the money leaves your ethnic community, there are so many degrees of separation between you and your money now that you may never see it again. And if you do, it'll be such a minuscule amount that it really won't be measurable. So you keep it within your ethnic group so that you limit the degrees of separation between you and your money. If there's only 2 degrees of separation between me and the money I've spent, I'm not going to have a bunch of money problems. Now, if you're like black folk and your money only bounces once, and you are only 12% of the population, 14% of the population, then that means that there's an 86% chance that you will never see that money again. That's just ethnic wise. Black people have a tendency of spending 99% of our money outside the black community, so guess what that means? That means that there is a 99% chance that you will never see that money again. That money will never benefit you again. That's a 99% chance. And when you do not have respect for degrees of separation of finances, you are not going to be able to help any of us. And as men and women, it's time for us to start taking on some adulthood. And that means you need to be ready for prime time. We got folk who are parents and not ready for prime time. You're having babies and not ready. You're not ready to babysit, much less to have a family. A male who can't provide for himself, but he's making mouths to feed. You're not ready for prime time. And much of this idiocy that I've been hearing just reinforces that fact. The question is, are you ready? And this concludes tonight's TBA After Hours. I am your host, Jason Black. Thank you all for joining us. And until next time, remember, black is the future and the future is uncompromising.